Number 6, from 1970 to 2000, the number of Sunday newspapers in circulation increased at a relatively constant rate. There's a key word, that's our slope. Newspapers per year. In 1997, there were 903 Sunday newspapers. Write a slope-intercept equation modeling the number of Sunday newspapers in circulation as a function of the number of years since 1970. Okay, again, years since 1970. So whenever we're dealing with these types of problems, you want to think of the beginning of the study is like year 0. So 1970, that would be year 0. 2000, that would be 30 years later. 1997, that would be 27 years later, 930 newspapers in circulation. So then we look at this problem, and we say, well, a slope-intercept equation would be y equals mx plus b. We know the slope's 12, but what we don't know is the y-intercept. However, we know a point that has to work on this equation. They told us it was on the line, so it has to work in the equation. Substitute 903 for y and 27 for x. You get 903. 12 times 27 would be 270, plus 54 is 324. So to make this true, subtracting 324 on both sides, we find out that the y-intercept is 903, 603, 583, 579. So our full equation then is y equals 12x plus 579. Part P, use that equation to predict the number of newspapers in 1981. Again, we don't plug in 1981. We modeled it as years since 1970. So what do we have to substitute for x? 11, because it's 11 years after 1970. So we take 12 times 11, which is going to be 121, plus 579. 121 and 579. No, I'm sorry, 12 times 11 is not 121. 12 times 11 is 132. So if we add those up, 9 and 2 makes 1, 8 and 3 makes 1, 1 and 5, 6, 7. Looks like 711 newspapers. And use your equation to predict the year when there would be 1,119 newspapers. So here's our equation. Newspapers is our y variable. So when will we get 1119? What do we have to substitute for x? Well, if you subtract 579 on both sides, you're going to find, let's see, 1179 minus 579, we get 600 equals 12x. Dividing by 12, we find that x equals 50. It doesn't mean in the year 50 there were this many newspapers in circulation. There weren't. Well, maybe there were. I don't know. But remember, we're talking years since 1970. So 50 years since 1970. We're looking at the year 2015, 2020. Something's goofy here. I don't remember that answer. Let's try something again. Let's take 1119. Let me double check my math. Let's subtract 579. Oh, there's the problem. It's not 600. It was 540. And 540 divided by 12 was 45. So 45 years since 1970 was 2015.